Good day, everybody, and welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. Thanks for joining me here for a few minutes. Yesterday, we paused to gather together in our minds what we already, what I think of as know by heart, stuff that you know cold about addiction or enslavement, as we've talked about addiction. And we talk about addiction or enslavement. It doesn't matter whether it's to various substances like alcohol or nicotine or other mood-altering drugs for that matter, on the one hand, or other behaviors. And this can include everything from overeating to undereating, overspending, hoarding, our compulsive fixations on everything from work to sex to gambling to even to online activities. I think you get the picture. My guess is that each of us has done our fair share of self-reflection on the multiple forms of enslavement that we and those we love most suffer day in, day out. And one thing is for sure, addiction or enslavement, as we understand it means, addiction or enslavement, it's virtually universal. Another thing is also for sure, most of us are simply too ashamed and frustrated to talk about it with anybody else. I have a dear friend from South Africa who does a podcast with me every Tuesday morning. Some of you have met her, Caira, and she's the founder during COVID of the online resource, which is a wonderful resource, Lockdown Open Up. I invite you to check that out. Caira, the whole basis of what she's doing at Lockdown Open Up is what is so hard for us to do in addiction ourselves, and that is, why don't we open up and talk about what's going on with addiction? And we're going to do that here. First of all, we're going to talk about scientific strides in the past 30 years. One thing's been made very clear. This is with brain scan technology, where you can actually visualize what happens in the brain during active addiction. And so we'll be talking about how it is that our bodies and brains are completely hijacked amidst active addiction. Two questions naturally arise here. The first one is, I use the word active addiction. Well, what constitutes active addiction? What is that? And the second thing is, I mentioned how the brain gets hijacked. Well, what is brain hijack and how does that affect our lives? So let me ask you something for today. Would you take a few moments to reflect on your own experience, your own personal experience with yourself, relationship to others that are important to you, your own experience of active addiction, whether it's your own or someone close to you? What do you think makes for active addiction? How would you define it in your own words and based on your own firsthand experience? Let's start with that, okay? Come back tomorrow. We're going to begin to flesh this out. It's a troubling problem. It's universal, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the unspeakable here. And including our moving in the next several days into addressing what I mentioned above, which is the second question. If the first question is about active addiction, and I want you to look at that today, I want you to define that for yourself. The second question has to do with brain hijack, and we'll be looking at what that is and the kind of devastating impact that has on our central relationships. Really, really important to understand this, though. So that's it for today. That's your homework. I want to thank you for joining me. Please stay safe during this time of COVID. Be well and come back and join me tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you.